This is a terrifying, true story that happened to me when I was young. It's about a haunted house at the end of our street. The house had been empty for years, but one day some new owners moved in. It was a beautiful old Victorian-style home with peeling paint, overgrown weeds, and a rusty old swing set in the front yard. My friends and I would always walk past it on our way to the park. We were all around 12 years old. One day, we decided to take a shortcut through the tall grass and broken sidewalk on the east side of the house so we could get to the park faster. We were almost to the backyard when suddenly we heard a blood-curdling scream. It sounded like fingernails on a chalkboard. We froze and stared at each other. Then, we started to run. We ran as fast as we could, as if whatever was in that house was chasing after us. We didn't stop running until we were several blocks away from that house. From that day forward, we never went near that house. If we were walking home from the park and it started to get dark out, we would run past the house so we could get inside before sunset. We were too scared to stay out after dark. A few months later, some older kids challenged us to go inside the house. They said they dared us to go up to the attic and open the trunk at the very top of the stairs. If we did, they would give us $10. At the time, $10 was a lot of money. So me and my two best friends decided to do it. We walked up to the house during the day and snuck in through an unlocked window. The place was a mess. There were cobwebs everywhere and the floorboards were creaking. As we started to walk up the stairs to the attic, we heard chains dragging metal moans. We froze and listened. Then we started to walk faster. We could feel our heartbeats pounding in our ears. When we reached the top of the stairs, we saw a large trunk in the corner. My friends and I stared at it for a moment, then I slowly started to lift the lid. As soon as I opened it, a strong, foul stench filled the air. It smelled like dirty socks and old flesh. Inside was a pile of old, torn-up clothes, a rusty axe, and a journal. As I reached for the journal, a photo slipped out from between its pages. I picked it up and stared at it. It was a photo of a man and a woman standing in front of the house. The man had a cruel-looking mustache and was staring directly at the camera. The woman had a sad expression on her face and was covering the man's face with her body. There was something really sinister about the picture. I could feel my heart beating really fast. I slammed the trunk shut and we all started to run for the window. As I ran, I could hear the chains dragging again. We made it out of the house and didn't stop running until we were far away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the events of that day over and over in my mind. I remember thinking, what if that man in the photo comes out of the house and finds me? What if he wants revenge for me opening his trunk? I spent the entire night convinced that I was going to be murdered by a vengeful spirit. In the morning, my mom drove me and my sister to school because I was too afraid to take the bus past the haunted house. When I told my mom what had happened, she looked at me and said, "You need to stop watching scary movies. Your imagination is running wild." I argued with her, saying that it wasn't a movie. But as the day went on, I started to convince myself that it was. Maybe I had imagined the whole thing. Maybe I really did just have a wild imagination. For years, I tried to forget about that house and what I had experienced there. But no matter where I went or what I did, I could never shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every time I turned around, I could have sworn I saw the man with the mustache standing at the end of the street, staring at me from the house. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized I needed to confront my fear. I knew that if I could go back to that house and walk through it, I would finally be free of the terror that had been gripping me for all those years. So one day I did it. I walked up to the house and knocked on the door. A middle-aged couple answered. They were the same couple that had bought the house years ago. I explained that I used to live down the street and I asked if I could take a quick look around. They agreed and let me in. I walked through the house and everything seemed fine. There was nothing really creepy about it. I went up to the attic and opened the trunk. Again, it still had the clothes, the axe, and the journal. I felt a sudden urge to open the journal. As I flipped through the brittle old pages, I noticed a date circled. It was the exact day that the photo was taken. I don't know why, but that freaked me out. I quickly left the house. I thanked the couple for letting me come in and I walked away. I didn't look back, and I haven't thought about that house or the creepy man in the photo since.